June is National Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and back on June 8th, the FDA approved the first new drug to treat Alzheimer's in nearly 20 years. And as Jason Doyle reports, that has turned out to be a controversial decision.
The Food and Drug Administration used an accelerated approval process for Biogen's Alzheimer's treatment called Aduhelm. That method of approval was used because the drug shows promise.
And so what they did is they used a pipeline called an accelerated approval to approve this drug, with the understanding that more studies need to be done. But what they didn't want to do is completely keep it out of the hands of the public while we figure this out, because there is a chance that it's going to prove to have some benefit.
Aduhelm uses antibodies to clear away amyloid plaques from the brain. Those amyloid plaques, along with neurotangles, are believed to be an early sign of the neurodegenerative disease.
There is considerable debate about whether the amyloid itself is the cause or a cause of Alzheimer's, and I'll be quite honest with you, this debate often splits the field.
So much so that the approval of Aduhelm resulted in the resignation of 3 FDA officials who argued there was not enough evidence of the drug's effectiveness, even if it's safe to use.
I personally, as a clinician, and this is shared by probably most of the people in the field, I don't think there's one single cause for Alzheimer's. I mean, it will be, number one, too simple, and number two, really impossible because the complexity of the human being.
Nevertheless, the new Alzheimer's drug is bringing hope.
So this is the first FDA-approved drug that delays decline due to Alzheimer's. And this is absolutely a victory for people living with the disease and with their families.
Despite the controversial way the drug was approved, the Alzheimer's Association's Stacy Tulevaz says it's the first treatment for the disease itself and not just its symptoms.
So the drugs that we had prior to that, and the last one approved was 2003, all of those drugs were symptomatic. They purely were looking at symptoms. So if you've got a headache, right, something like that, where they were looking at symptoms and may have helped a little bit with that, but they certainly didn't have an impact on the progression of the disease.
The likely key to Aduhelm being an effective treatment is early detection of the disease.
Because if we can get rid of the amyloid plaques, especially in the earlier stages of the disease, we have the potential of sort of arresting the disease partway through even. And even if it doesn't cure anything, it might prolong things so that people may be healthier for longer.
Another school of thought suggests Alzheimer's could be caused by a variety of factors in addition to plaque buildup. Dr. Mike Beckstead with the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation is doing Alzheimer's research, but he didn't start out that way.
Most of my career has been spent studying the way that the cells in your brain, the neurons that release dopamine, communicate with each other and with other cells in other areas of the brain. Now, Alzheimer's disease is not typically associated with this part of the brain. Alzheimer's disease is a disease of learning and memory.
However, Beckstead began to see a connection.
What was interesting is that the more I looked into Alzheimer's disease, the more I realized that the parts of the brain that I've been studying for other diseases might actually be playing a role in Alzheimer's disease.
Through studying that possible connection in mice, Beckstead believes his research is showing promise.
And so given all this preliminary evidence, we submitted a grant on this, and thankfully it just got approved by the National Institutes of Health and got funded for us to explore this a little further.
Over at OU Health, Dr. Kalen Prodan is taking a different approach. He's looking at a possible connection between a type of platelets and Alzheimer's.
Platelets, as it comes out to be, they are actually they carry a large amount of amyloid precursor protein on their surface, which is a key element in Alzheimer's disease.
He's comparing the platelet profile of patients who have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and those who may be experiencing just short-term memory loss.
And we found that actually they had very similar levels to those patients with early stage Alzheimer's disease. That was a very interesting finding for us because it gave us something in the blood that we can look at potentially to identify a high-risk group that will move faster than, let's say, the remainder of that group.
While the research in Oklahoma will likely benefit Alzheimer's patients in the future, there are resources on the Alzheimer's Association's website for the 67,000 Oklahomans and 6 million Americans who are dealing with it currently.
We have all of the resources there from, just again, what does Alzheimer's look like, to how do you take away the keys from mom or dad when they're driving and you don't think they should be anymore? We have all of those resources online.
Tulevaz says even if the newly approved drug's effectiveness is limited, it sets the stage for future treatments.
This opens the door for more innovation and more, look at plaques, look at tangles, look at combination therapies. It opens the door for more innovation. We're very excited about the future.
Jason Doyle, the Oklahoma News Report.